Hi everybody, my name is RickConti and I'm a National Corvette Sales Specialist, and this is my YouTube channel. Now if you've been watching us of recent, you know that I just attended the National Corvette Museum's annual Bash Event. I go every year. Now this year I wasn't able to attend every single day of the event, but a couple of things I go down there for. One key thing is just to meet you guys, people from all over the country. Sometimes I have an opportunity to meet customers that I've done business with that I've never even met before. That's pretty neat. And just seeing your cars and having conversation about Corvette and your lifestyle is really, truly enjoyable for me. The other thing I like to go down there for is to share with you guys, for those of you that couldn't attend, and also for myself, because I'm just a nutty Corvette guy like you guys, and you like all that information. I love attending the Chevrolet seminars. And what I've got for you, what we usually do is share that whole seminar. Well, sometimes a lot of stuff gets lost in the shuffle. So what I want to do for you today on this upload is specifically talk about the C7 Corvette. I love that Chevrolet provides that information for us. It's informative, it's entertaining, and it's just great information. Sometimes that's the only place you can find that information. Well, they gave us data on production of 2019 Corvette through April 1st of this year. I thought it was a little low, personally. We started early with 2019, and 19 is going to be extended at the point of doing this video. We don't know how far, but seeing that information as far as the colors that were made, the different models, the percentages of coupe versus convertible, individual options, chrome wheels, black wheels, all that kind of stuff is in today's upload. In addition, Taj will talk about the very last C7 Corvette to be built in 2019. Yes, the very last front engine car, the end of an incredible era. Now, what Chevrolet's going to do with that car, they're going to auction it on June 28th. Now, it won't be built by then, but whomever buys it will be buying the rights to the very last car. They've not announced when that's going to happen, but they're going to buy the very last car, and the proceeds from that auction, I think, is not only commendable, but fantastic that they're donating 100% of those proceeds to the Stephen Siller Tunnels to Tower Foundation. Taj also gives us an insight to Stephen and why the foundation was named as it is. And also you'll see that Stephen truly was an American hero in the truest sense.
Okay, so we're finally getting to a transition. I'm curious, how many of you saw this announcement that we're going to auction off the LAST C7? So almost all of you. This was done in New York City. It was actually at a charity event. It's called Stephen Siller. I'm curious how many people know what the Stephen Siller Foundation does. It's a pretty cool charity. It was started after 9/11. Stephen Siller, who's up in the upper left-hand corner, he was born to serve, I guess I'd say. He lost his parents at a very young age. He was a young boy, and he had every reason to grow up with problems. But he didn't. He grew up as an outstanding kid, joined the military. He was a hero in the Middle East. When he left the military, he came back, joined the fire department in New York City, and was actually working before 9/11 happened. He was like working the night before. He was off duty. He was driving home when he heard over the radio the building hit by the planes. And he thought, I gotta go back. I know it's gonna be all hands on deck, I gotta go back. He had gone through the tunnel, he turned around, they had shut down everything. Couldn't get back into the city. He had 60 pounds of firefighting gear in his trunk. He left his car, he put the 60 pounds in a backpack, and he ran 2 miles back through the tunnel, back to the towers. The first tower had gone down. He went into the second tower, he saved a bunch of people and went back in and was in the tower when it fell. He, like many other first responders, typically young men, some young women also, but typically they leave young families behind. And what happens is, you know, the breadwinners essentially lost their job, so you have somebody at home trying to raise young children with minimal benefits after they lose their lives on the job, or become seriously disabled in some way where they can't continue doing what they did. So the Siller Foundation was started, and it basically raises money to try to take care of some of that problem. So depending on the situation, sometimes they'll just pay off people's mortgage. If they have a house, they'll just pay off the mortgage, so at least that part of their financial life is taken care of. Really takes a burden off, because sometimes you see these families sort of spiral down into poverty because they lose their house, they can't make the payments, it can't work. So it's a very sad story that follows these heroes in our society. And so they may pay off the mortgage, and in some cases where people are seriously disabled, they'll build smart homes. So this is a home where somebody who's pretty seriously disabled can actually function fairly normally. So they have a lot of high-tech solutions to help people manage a lifestyle like that. So that's expensive, and the Solar Foundation is there to raise money. General Motors became involved with it some time ago and has raised $10 million so far. And so Mary Barra was actually being awarded a recognition at the event this year in New York City for General Motors' contribution. So she went and was given that award, and at her acceptance speech she announced that we were going to auction off the LAST C7, which is going to be a black and red C06. We're going to auction at Barrett-Jackson in Connecticut, so East Coast, on June 28th. I want to make sure everybody understands that car will not have been produced. We are still and will still be producing 7th generation cars for a while now. We haven't determined or announced the last date. That'll be coming soon. So this auction will actually occur well before the car is produced. So you're actually buying the rights to the car. So I want to make sure that was clear. But the whole point is that General Motors is donating that car, so every dollar of the proceeds coming out of that auction will go to the Steve Siller Foundation. So expect some announcements around the closing out of the 7th generation Corvette coming relatively soon. So we always talk about kind of the year in review in terms of sales and what people are buying, and so Harlan's going to go through that.
Yeah, and this is the luxury sports car segment that we compete with in the showroom. And the great thing about the tie-in with racing is that a lot of the same cars we race against, we compete with on the showroom floor and for you. So I want to thank everybody here for continuing to keep Corvette #1 in the luxury sports car segment in first place, solidly. And I think it says a lot for the 7th generation car to keep going strong like it has been. And if we look at, I know you guys like to see the details here. So we look at the 2019 year so far. This is through beginning of April, so pretty recent data. You can see how the different models are doing. And again, you can see the Stingray Coupe 1LT is getting pretty high up. As you see, that's a great car. Obviously people recognize the value in that, and that's why that's continuing to do really well. The Grand Sport, most people go to the 2LT. On the Grand Sport's continues also very strong showing. Z06 also holding its own, and then look at the ZR1. We're almost 2,600 ZR1s already for the year, and it's been a big success for the ZR1. Again, almost 28,000 2019 so far. Here's a little bit more details. You know, I won't get into all this, but some of the interesting things. The 8-speed paddle shift automatic seems to run pretty high, 82% on the Stingray. The black wheels, we always have that debate, black wheels, chrome wheels. Looks like the black wheels are winning so far. You know, we have a lot of wheel options available on the Stingray now. Let's go to the Grand Sport. It's kind of cool about a little over 20% still going for the Heritage package, getting the hash marks and stripe options. Red brakes are very popular. Red brake calipers on the Grand Sport. Again, black wheels about on half of the Grand Sports. And then on the Z06, you see again higher things like the competition seats, the ground effects. Does really well. The carbon crash, and about 40% total get carbon fiber ground effects on the Z06. Again, black wheels, 57%. And then on the ZR1, about the ZTK package, a lot of people call it the high wing package. the performance, you know, running about 70% there. And then the Sebring Orange package, really doing well, about 27% 01's getting the Sebring Orange, about 2/3 are getting the competition C. So, and again, carbon flash wheels most popular on the 01 as well. So colors, everybody loves colors. Obviously, Arctic White continues to be the #1 color. You look at black and torch red do well. Look at the Sebring Orange, 4th place. Really, Sebring Orange really been a massive hit. We thought it would do well, even doing better than we had thought. Again, you get the Admiral Blue and Watkins Glen. I mean, those two were replaced during the middle of the year by the Shadow Gray, just starting to move its way up, and the Elkhart Lake Blue are two newest colors also. And then on the interior side, the black and the red, the Dremel Red always does well too. Okay, so we can start talking about, again, 2019. We started this model year really early. Actually started late January 2018, so it's been a long model year. And 01 started in March. One of the things that we did do, and most of you know about this, was the change to the oil switched over in 2019, the 0W40. And the great thing about that is that you can use it for both street driving and track driving. So it's a great oil that you can use in both purposes. And then if you have an earlier 7th generation car, all the way back to 2014, you can use it as well, the same way. So let's do a little review on the 01, which is our newest car.
So I'm curious, how many of you in here have a 01? What's wrong with the rest of you? That's our latest thing. Okay, thanks. So, yeah, I mean, last year was awesome, introducing the 01, and I wanted to put this slide up because a lot changes over the course of a year. So we introduced the car in Dubai. Tom Peters and I had the privilege of going over there representing the whole team, introducing the car to the world. The Middle East is an up-and-coming market for us. Lots of folks over there can afford to buy the car and have multiple cars. So it was a nice place to do a global reveal, and things change a lot over a year. And in fact, Tom Peters elected to retire earlier this year. So I've worked with Tom for a really, really long time. In fact, Kirk, in fact, all of us. Tom Peters was a font of creativity unlike anybody I've ever met. A true free spirit and really unconstrained thinker. So he didn't just think outside the box, he lived outside the box. He was always outside the box. He didn't even know where the box was. So, but that creativity really gave life to many of the Corvettes that you've seen actually in history, including the 7th generation and eventually the 8th generation too. So I want to give Tom a shout out. His contributions are going to live in the Corvette community. So you guys have, I'm sure, read all the articles about the car, 212 miles an hour, 755 horsepower, 715 foot-pounds of torque. I drove one down here from Michigan, and the car still gets a huge amount of attention. Everybody's looking at it. You're driving down the highway and you sense people coming up and surrounding you, trying to take pictures. It's a little bit scary because you're wondering what they're up to, and but the car still is a magnet, and it still really sets a performance standard for the world. We've had awesome recognition for the car all around the world in media and with customers. One of the reasons is, the performance is driven by the aerodynamics of the car, and this is the first time we actually did a version of the car where we didn't just change one end of the car or other. We made massive changes to the car, including a whole new front clip for the engine integration and for all the cooling for that monster motor. And we actually have here, I don't know if people recognize how much of an expert we have here on aerodynamics. very rare that somebody in the studio is also a technical expert aerodynamically, and we depend on Kirk Benyon to straddle those two worlds, because one tends to be a very technical, very sophisticated world with a lot of computational fluid dynamics, also wind tunnel testing. You have to integrate all that thinking into practical constructions in the car, and also that look good. So you're trying to balance a bunch of different priorities, and Kirk Benyon is one of the key people who makes that happen. So he's going to do a quick run through of some of the aero on the car.
Okay, great. Thank you, Taj. Next slide. Anyways, we spent a lot of time on the front of the car, obviously, because that's where the air is at its highest pressure. And that's what you can see with this image right here. And some of the ribbons, that's also part of our CFD analysis and that. So we'll do iterations of this as we change the car. And this is kind of our first tool of learning in that when we're dealing with the car. The underside, very, very important. As you see, this front splitter, it has kind of a belly pan shape to it. This is huge in creating downforce for the car. When we talk about 950 pounds of downforce, it's really the total system. I know a lot of people like to look at the rear wing thinking that's where all the downforce is, and it really isn't. It's a culmination of all these parts together. Obviously, you can see how flush the lower floor is as well. And then the hood, you can see, we also depend on that. There's an extractor there. We're pulling air out from behind the front radiator. That also adds to the downforce of the package. Now the rear wing, I would tell you the unsung hero on this package is this little deck lid spoiler, because that's very influential in keeping the air attached to the bottom side of the wing. Here again, it's a total system. The wing is very efficient, obviously. The reason we run it, the race car runs it, is because it's huge in getting downforce, but it's also great in that it's a low drag part to put on the car. And here's a comparison of the fronts. Cooling is huge for us as well. And with an engine like this in ZR1, we're trying to grab every gob of air we can out of the front. Typically at the center is your highest velocity, but in this case, we're also looking to pull air in from the corners and that. So it's really a 3-radiator system up front as far as the main heat exchangers. But overall, I think we're like 13, I think, in the car. And then this just goes into some of the details, and we love coming to these customer events and that, and meeting all of you. But I always like to tell people when I go back, I said, right now no one's telling me we're putting too much carbon fiber on the car. So we keep looking at every opportunity to add carbon fiber to the car. And you can see where it's not only part of the hood, but it's also the fender bezel, front splitter, rear wing, and the interior. So it's really a complete package. Then we have the C-ring special package. You can see that out there in the main hall, and that this is very impactful. We were bringing orange into the fold, and even though this color, it's our second year with this color, it was still a big deal for us to get bright orange into the palette. I would tell, talking with a lot of you through the years, it's kind of like we've done like a light orange, a dark orange, a red orange, and I'd always get the question like, well, when are we just going to do orange? Why can't you guys do bright orange? And so we were glad to finally get there.
So you've probably seen all the covers for a relatively low volume car, a version of one of our cars, and we've seen this before, whether it's the 06 or Grand Sport. We bring out a new version of the car and it gets lots and lots of attention. A lot of our competitors are very jealous of this. In fact, if you read the letters to the editors, people are writing and say, why is there a Corvette on the cover of every single one of your magazines? It's not really true, but it feels like it because we dominate so thoroughly. And then when you do a car like a ZR1, which makes this many headlines because of its performance, it's only more so. Some of the highlights, best of the best, Corvette ZR1 is one of the highest tech sports cars on the planet. It's the most powerful production yet. This is Rob Report, so this is selling to real high-end folks. Motor Authority, Best Car to Buy 2019. Very nice honor. Road and Track Performance Car of the Year. This is another pretty big award, and usually doesn't go to a version of a car, usually goes to like a whole new car, like completely ground up. We think of the car as completely ground up because we do the chassis and we do the whole front end clip, all the aero package, the engine. You know, a lot of the car is completely new, but it's still a version of the C7 Corvette. So you don't typically win those, but here we won it Performance Car of the Year. It's a reputation of that assertion, the hammer thrown into Big Brother's twin clutch telescreen, a warp speed expression of a stubborn American independence. So it really is.
Well, guys, what did you think? Isn't all that nutty information cool? It means absolutely nothing, but it's still nice to know. Now, tomorrow on the vlog, yes, we're going to have another vlog tomorrow. Taj from the seminar talks about the C8 mid-engine Corvette acknowledgement in New York and also the story on the Zora Easter egg heads. Oh yeah, that's great. And being that the invitations have just started going out in real time when we did this upload on Tuesday, April 30th, yes, I think we've heard it's going to be in California. Yes, the invitations specifically say the reveal for the C8 2020 mid-engine Corvette is going to be in Orange County, California on 7/18/19. Last night I had two uploads that were almost simultaneous. One is that teaser ad. In case you missed it, here it is right now as we close today's vlog. It's one of those great productions from Chevrolet that just get you pumped up and get you ready as if we weren't already ready for the mid-engine Corvette.
Is your seatbelt fastened? All right. Let's go.